Another Brick fan here with a set from the Marvel Universe. This is Venom. This is set 76187. It has 565 pieces, no minifigures, and was released in April 2021 and cost about $60 when it was released. This is the third model in the helmet collection from Marvel. The other two being Iron Man and, of course, Carnage, which also came out in April 2021. And this one looks almost exactly like Carnage, just in some different colors, which makes quite a bit of sense because according to the comics, Carnage was actually a spawn of Venom. So they would look very similar, although Carnage has a much different color scheme. We'll take a look at the two next to each other here in a few minutes. But first, let's take a look, and like all of the helmets in these series, this has the logo here with the Marvel logo and then the name of the character, in this case Venom, and you can see a little bit of that trans green back there, which is the venom that comes out of the mouth here. It's a little difficult to see in there, but you can see a little bit of that. As we move it to the side, you'll see there's a little bit back behind all the teeth here. Those are like antenna pieces done in that translucent green color, which I think turned out really well. And then, of course, there's this big long tongue. Nice jawline here, the pink gums, and there's some more red inside there. The sides are relatively plain on Venom here, all in black, of course. But as you can see, there's some texture on the top, and then it's smoothed out along the bottom. Standard base here. Here's the back of Venom. Once again, pretty black. Interestingly, the entire back kind of comes off. So you can see the internal structure of Venom and how they have the different plates here that connect up to make the look of the character. Other side pretty much the same as the side we just looked at. The real detail, of course, is in these eyebrows here, the way that the eyes are shaped, and then the teeth, tongue, and the venom that's inside of his mouth. The eyes are almost exactly the same on both sides, except there is an exposed stud over here, which adds a little bit of character, although I have heard some other reviewers complaining that that stud could have easily been hidden, or it could have been done in a different way so that both eyes were the same. For what I can tell, it seems intentional, just to add a little bit of detail, I suppose, or just make it so it's not quite as symmetrical on both sides. The little exposed stud there doesn't bother me too much. The base is nice and strong. The head is mounted on there quite well. You can move this tongue around a little bit. It's made out of essentially 3 pieces, so you can kind of position it however you'd like. The venom in the back here of the mouth, still zooming in, you can just barely see some of that green behind these teeth here, which is where the venom kind of drips down on either side here. So that's part of how Venom is built. So here we have Carnage. This is the Carnage model, which also came out earlier in April. And you can see that they do look very similar just at first glance. So the jaw lines are the same, the teeth are pretty much the same, the eyes are done the same way, eyebrows, forehead, sides, pretty much the same basic model. A few differences, obviously I've talked about the venom inside here and the long tongue. There's a couple of subtle differences in the venom that is leaking in the back of the Venom's mouth here, and then the tongue obviously is unique to Venom. Carnage is done in a different color scheme with red and black, whereas Venom is all black. You notice that the eyes are done the same, the eyebrows. And then there's a bunch of stickers here for Carnage to add a little more texture to him. And as I did mention, this makes a lot of sense that they look very similar because Carnage is a spawn of Venom, or a child, I suppose, part of Venom at one point. Two different symbiotes though. Overall, two very nice head builds for these Spider-Man villains. This set comes in at the same price point as most of the other Helmet series sets at around $60 in the United States. And it has about 600 pieces, so if you go strictly on piece count, it does fit very close to that 10 cent per piece, just slightly above it, which makes for a good baseline in my mind. So I think just on that, it's a pretty good value, although this is designed to be a display piece, and I think it looks really nice. These are fun to build, although a bit tedious. You have to make sure that you get everything just in the right place to get all the texturing right and for the model to fit together completely. So overall, I think this is a really nice model. I think they would be better. It would be nicer if they were in the $50 price range instead of the $60 price range. I just think that would be a little bit nicer for these pieces because they aren't super large, although they do look really good all put together. They make for a really good display piece, and you have the more of them you have, obviously I think it tends to look better when they fill up the shelf. So I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this head or helmet series build, and I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I've left a link to some of my other Marvel reviews in the playlist up here on the screen.